Okay, uh, I'm going to go through a tutorial on how to make a Pong game. Now, if you look at the background of my little screen there, there's a classic Pong from the 70s. We're not going to make that kind of Pong. That would require a little bit of artificial intelligence, which is too advanced for this little tutorial. We're going to just make paddle, a ball, bounces around, has a score. So first, we're going to need a paddle and a ball and not a cat. So we're going to go and add a paddle and a ball. And here's a ball. And there is a paddle here. I'm just going to move the paddle down. And you can choose whatever you want for either of those, but I'm just going to choose the defaults. And let's get this ball rolling. So to move it, we're going to start with a green flag checked and a forever loop, which you're pretty much going to do with every sprite. You're going to have some initial conditions and a forever loop and a green flag check. And actually, let's set an initial condition. Let's just go and say the ball is always going to start here. Or I could say the ball is going to go start at a random position. It's fine. I just wanted to start somewhere. And then we are going to want to get it to move. And it's moving. And it keeps on running into the edge of the screen. Well, we can change that by if on edge bounce. Now it's going back and forth. And if I want to make it faster, I can change the speed by changing how much it moves or slow it down. Let's do 20, make it nice and fast. But you want to get it to, bounce around. So we're going to change the angle. And where is the angle? 1. Point in direction. There we go. 90 isn't going to help. Let's go. If we want something nice and standard, we can do 45. Well, we could do 30, which is nice and sharp, or we could do 60, which is kind of shallow. You can do 75 if we want it going back and forth a lot. But we'll just go 45 for now. And it's bouncing around. Boo, boo. All right. But you'll notice it's bouncing right through the paddle. We should do something about that. Again, when green flag checked, forever loop. And we're going to use a conditional, an if statement, if then. And we're going to do a sensing, and we're going to do touching. And instead of the mouse pointer, we're going to say the paddle. If it touches the paddle, what do we want it to do? Well, we want it to turn around and go the other way. So go motion. We say turn. And what is the opposite direction of wherever it's going now? Well, that's 180 degrees. It goes the opposite way. Now, it just bounces. Now, could we do this here? We could replace that, but then we would have to have some way for it to figure out if it's on the edge. And this if on edge bounce is easier. You don't have to set up a conditional telling it where the edge of the screen is. But if you do, there's some more interesting options you could do. So here it is bouncing, but the paddle doesn't move. Let's give the paddle some motion. And let's see here. Let's go for when green flag checked. Forever loop. And I can do a couple things. I can, instead of doing when green flag checked, I could do when right arrow or left arrow are checked and then move a certain amount, which would make it controlled by the left-right keys. Or I can just have it follow your mouse around. To do that, I'm going to set X to, but I don't want that value. I'm going to go down to sensing again. I'm going to do mouse's X value. And start it. 2, 2. Now I'm totally bouncing a pong pad. Let's give it a background. Let's go for this one. It's very minimalist. There we go. There's part of a pong game, but we kind of need a score too, or else how can you tell when you won? For that, you're going to need a variable. You're going to need to make a variable. We want to make sure it's for all sprites. And we don't want cloud variables just yet. That would be for like high scores. We're not there yet. So we want for all sprites, and we want this to be called score. It is case sensitive. You can make more than one sprite that says, or more than one variable that says score. Make sure to be careful with that. All right. And it just sits here like a thing. What we want is a conditional, so we can tell when we get a score. So when green flag checked, let's go back to variables. First thing, let's always do this with our scores. Most of our variables, when green flag checked, put it to 0. Now, if this was like a life counter, when green flag checked, you would set it to 3 or 5 or however many lives you want. But for a score, we're going to set it to 0. And it says my variable. Change that to score. So when it starts, it will change the score to 0. And then we need a conditional in a forever loop. Forever, if then. So if touching ball, because remember I'm in the paddle right now, if touching ball, change my variable by 1. And let's start it. And it's not really doing anything. This happens sometimes. It's bouncing off before it touches. And we say, that's fine. Let's do this. Let's go put it in the ball. Just chuck it here. Change it to if touching paddle. Oh, different here. Change score. Probably would have worked in the other one. Stop. Okay, let's go and kill it there. Let's go back to the paddle. Touching ball. Yeah, totally works. Totally works when I tell it the right variable. And we've got a Pong game. Well, it's not the most exciting Pong game. You could do something like if variable equals 20 broadcast, you win, and then have it go to a different backdrop and stuff, but we're not quite there yet. It's just a component. All right, I'll just stop this, make sure it resets. Stop, start, start. And if we wanted to, we could just go and fix it so that it's on the bottom there, so you can't accidentally trap it. Well, I guess you can. Let's get all the way to the bottom. There we go. And there we are. We have made it completely useful, except for that it's kind of a boring game. All right. That is a Pong game. If you would like someone else telling you how to do this, there's also a tutorial called Pong Game, which you can go follow. All right, that's the first one.